I reluctantly say that, but that's the reality, which is really exciting because there are communities, for example, these guys in this community up there in the hill are playing lots of cards, losing money, drinking lots, getting very drunk, and the women group said, no more drinking, no more cards. So all of a sudden they changed their community from where it was going, downhill. So we've worked with a lot of those women's groups in enabling them to build their skills and to share those skills of what they're doing. So we're bringing those together to enable them to educate each other so that they can learn from each other and build that within their community. This is a group of nurses. Lady at the back's a doc from Sea Lake. These couple of nurses from Neil or Conniva or somewhere over there. The lady on the left has got a penny on with all the ladies' parts because they're doing a health education program underneath a tree, obviously, in Gorka. Gorka is one of the areas that was affected really badly by the earthquake in 2015. There are 80,000 homes in Gorka alone that were destroyed. 60% of those are men-less because their men have gone overseas to seek work and to seek money. So you've got these women running their communities, but they haven't got a home because they've been destroyed. But at the same time, they're really concerned about their health. So these girls are actually talking about menstrual stuff because there are women that still understand that every month, pain in the penny, all that sort of stuff happens, and you're not alone, lady, you know. So it's a reassurance that our people were able to give them that they're not alone. The process that happens each month is natural, and all of a sudden they're learning about how they can manage it better. What we've also done is that we've got groups in Melbourne, Sydney, Melbourne, Geelong and here that are making reusable pads for girls. You know about those? So we've taken in hundreds of those that allow them to use that at the time, reuse them for 3 years, and we're now finding that women are actually going back to school, going back to work, because they don't get locked away. The Nepali government last year legislated that it is now, legislated finally that it's illegal to treat a woman wrongly, badly, whatever the word is, when they have a period. The deal is that in remote areas, they lock them in a shed. And it still happens. Go away, come back when you're clean. So that happens now. You know, where we don't have anything to use, and I've known it, well, I don't know, but I've been told, straw, rags, rocks or stones have been used, or just sit in a shed that's exposed to the elements and just dispose of. You're not allowed to eat anything other than plain rice. You're not allowed to talk to anyone other than your immediate mother or sibling, and that's it. So the Nepali government have just declared that as being obviously inappropriate, so they're now supporting women to actually be accepted more within the community. So our process of education, our process of support is through this sort of stuff, but also with men within the community actually to say, listen, give them a break, you know, support them. So that's become really crucial in some of the work that we're doing. We would do a response to relief work. This is a community right on the border where flooding in August last year took out 8,000 homes. This school here, we had a collection of money from the Nepali community here in Ballarat. We sent over $1,000. They then supplied all their students with new materials and some clothing and whatever to do. Now, you know, that's a response to a need, but so where does that fit within community development? It's about enabling people to continue to do their thing, and what we've done subsequent to that is gone down and spent time with them, looked at how we can develop some strategies to work with their community to help them take a few steps further forward. And now, hopefully Sunita, who sits over here, where does Sunita sit? Somewhere here.
Yeah.
That her connection and her community will enable more work to be done in that area, and by working with an organisation called Women for Change, we will work with them to try and build their community for the future. This happened very quickly after the earthquake in 2015. The earthquake was April of 25th. Then I was in there in July. This is in Gorka. This is a lady from Lutheran Aid International. There's some of our Nepali staff that we employ. We were able to take in water purification boxes into that area because, again, all their infrastructure had been screwed by the earthquakes. So these boxes allow communities or families to have water for 6 months treated within those boxes. There's 70 litres in a box. Fill it up, whack in some tablets, and then they have clean water. Part of the deal that we have in terms of our role within that is probably secondary to some of the major international aid organisations that happen. We come further down the track because we don't have the capacity to respond in the way in which the Red Cross and so on do. But the important thing for us as an organisation in our relationship there is about the relationship that we have with government officials. I have a direct link into the Prime Minister's office. I have a direct link with the Australian Embassy. I have a direct link with local municipalities because it's about those relationships that you need to grow as a community development worker. We can't do that without having that relationship with them to enable us to do what we're doing. The problem is that the Nepali government, the day after I did this session, introduced a tax on everything that had been donated into Nepal. So from now on, from that time on, we and other organisations are faced with, here's a whole lot of donated goods, but you're going to be taxed on that. Let me go back to an example with the pads. 2 years ago, I had 120 kilos of the things. Me, bloke. What do you got there? My gene packs for girls. And it's personal luggage. How's that? So I ended up with the stuff being down in the cargo, terminal. So I went down to the cargo terminal and I said, well, where's my stuff? Over there. But it's going to cost you this amount of money, like $500 to actually get it through. Why is that? Well, we've opened it up and it's clothing, therefore this is the amount, this is what it's going to cost, and therefore that's the calculation that we've come up with. And I said, well, no. So anyway, I spent a day negotiating with people. Then finally I sort of spat the dummy a bit and I said, excuse me, Tick, open up the bag. The office is open to everyone, so there's people everywhere. So the office, so this dude here, who I'm talking to, all of a sudden gets an open pack of pads. $50 will do, thank you very much, sir. Go away. So we actually had that situation of saying, well, we've gone from $500 to $50 disappear. So, part of, I guess, that my role as a community development worker is really about persistence. And it's about sticking to your guns and about, having a capacity to sort of, work your way through those systems that are there. In that sort of situation, I was really determined to get that through so that these people could have access to that stuff. When we got these boxes in, they were declared not relief material because they had things like plates and torches and mosquito net and a few other things that weren't part of the list that the guy had in front of him, because the manifest that he had were medical requirements or blanket and whatever. This had all sorts of other things as well, so our family would survive. So we've got to negotiate that sort of stuff. Thanks. Okay. So our expeditions, our ventures contribute through those sort of ways, and it's really about utilising people's skills. When we first started, we didn't do that. We just took people because they wanted to stick their hand up and go. And we had teams structured so that people could do. And that's fine. But I was a bit worried that people didn't utilise the skills that they had whilst they were on the ground. So what we've done is structured in such a way that that sort of thing happens. And it's really about those points that we really want to do. And it's about learning from each other. There was a conversation I had last week with the Rotary Club in Melbourne that said, well, what are we going to learn? What are we going to gain and what are we going to get out of it? And it's really about understanding a different culture, understanding the remote area that you might be working with. What's an example? Materials aren't necessarily readily available to us as we might do some work. I happened to be asked by a community group to paint, well, my community group painted a wall and repaired a wall after an earthquake, and then they said, we need something on the wall. So Graeme had some experience in painting a mural. So they said, well, can you paint a mural? I went, well, okay, maybe I could. Yeah. So it's a 17-metre wall, by not quite as high as this. And I said, well, I need paint. So you go down to the local paint shop, which has got three cans of paint. We've got to go to the next shop. So we've gone from Ballarat to Bunning Elm to look for some more paint. Then we've gone to Meredith, and then we've gone to Geelong, because, you know, that's how it is to get paint. But you do that by walking or by catching a bus, maybe. And then the paint arrives, and I said, well, there's no black. Oh, we don't have black, but I need black, because those of you who do a bit of painting or whatever, you know that you've got to have a bit of black in there somewhere. So we had this conversation with the local people. All of a sudden, we've gone from Ballarat to Bunning to Geelong to Melbourne to get the can of paint, to be then put on a bus. The bus driver paid a couple of dollars so that he can actually get the paint up to our community, and then carried from where it is at the end of the bus to us in the community a couple of hours up the trail. And here's this plastic bag with a tin of paint with my name on it, Graeme Bargie. They call me Bargie because that's grandfather. And here it is that's been travelled all the way along the journey. So it's really about having teams in a community that all of a sudden you've got to say, well, how do we adapt to that environment? How do we cope with limited resources? How do we work as a team to solve some of those problems? And that's probably, you know, the sort of stuff that happens on a day-to-day basis. And we as community development workers probably need to do that on a day-to-day basis. You know, how do we reflect on what we've done today as to what we might modify or change or introduce tomorrow that might enable the community to take another couple of steps. Thank you. I'm going to finish with this. This young lady is now doing her own thing. She's now done some pretty amazing stuff along the way. But Naran is her name, and Naran came to us in 2000 and went to Nepal with us for 2 months. When I first met Naran, we were in the Royal Society building in Melbourne. If you read the papers over the weekend, they've done and built a big spire on the property that they've got there. And we were doing a presentation in that building at that time, and my office was down the road in Victoria Parade, and Naran was on the phone and getting information, filling out an application form. She came to me at the end of the night and said, here's my application form, here's $500 deposit, I want to go, or I have to go. And I said, yeah, all right, we're already full. She didn't know that, but we're already full of 100 people we took on our first trip. And she then convinced me through her document that she would go. She was a single mum, she was living on the streets, she was into the drug scene, she was just well and truly down and out. So over the period of time, we went through the process of making sure that she was part of the team. There was a community in Williamstown that came together to raise some funds. Well, they did that, they presented me with a cheque, and then in amongst all that, Naran had said to me that she can't go because she can't afford it. I was able then to match that money to enable her to go. So in 2000, Naran came to Nepal. Over 2001, 2 and 3, she re-established her life. She went back to uni, she got her act together, and over the next number of years, she really created some pretty amazing stuff. 2 years ago, she rang me and said she was in town in Melbourne, a cup of coffee. What are you doing? I'm heading up a health education program for International Red Cross in Kabul in Afghanistan. I'm happy to do that. And as a community development worker, you know, you're really about changing lives. You know, we have an impact that has a long-term effect, but the reality is that we don't see that straight away. Harry or Harriet make boots, and they need to make 20 boots in a week, and they need to sell those boots or shoes or whatever it is, or clothes. they can see the result of that, and they can see the evidence that that's happened.